Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to another episode of Myth Busting Mondays. And today's episode, guys, for the final myth, we're going to be testing if whether or not that a hunter can pounce from on top of another special infected's head. Will this end up giving the hunter a little bit more of a boost in his pounce? I don't know. We'll have to find out. So make sure you stick around for the very end. If you guys end up enjoying today's video, as always, please make sure you drop a like and comment down below if you have a myth that you would like to have be featured in next week's episode of Myth Busting Mondays. But yeah, guys, I hope you end up enjoying this week's episode of Myth Busting Mondays. Myth: will the elevator on the first chapter of Dead Center open up after a certain period of time? Alrighty guys, so myth number 1 is going to be submitted by Glabursco. So we are on the first chapter of Dead Center, and we are going to be closing the elevator going downstairs. Now supposedly, if you end up just waiting for a certain period of time, it will just automatically open. I would like to figure that this is going to end up being a fail-safe mechanic, so that way if you were playing in versus, that you can't just camp in there, and it probably end up getting carried over to the single-player campaign. So basically, all we're just going to do is just sit and wait patiently and see if the door will eventually just open. So after waiting around for, I would like to say, anywhere between 1 minute and 2 minutes, the door eventually did open, which means that this myth is confirmed. Like I said, I just believe this is a gameplay mechanic that was left over from Versus and put also into the single-player campaign just to prevent you from camping, but the good news is, though, is it also does help any players that for some reason do not know where the E button is. Myth: can you get the Jockey to dismount you if you submerge him underwater? Okay guys, so myth number 2 is going to be submitted in by Zoe. Now in order to end up testing this myth, we have to have a deep body of water. So the best place that I know is the finale of Death Toll. So Dan is going to use a strategy that we discovered from a few episodes back, where he ends up increasing his mouse sensitivity to maximum, and he spins around in circles while looking at the floor. This will end up contradicting the Jockey's influence, so that way he basically doesn't move. The Jockey's mounting animation is the exact same. He's still poking your eye out while simultaneously rubbing his testicles on the back of your neck. The water really isn't affecting the Jockey. Or is it? As you all can clearly see, the Jockey has the exact same mounting animation he has always had. He is able to jump on your shoulders and start scratching your eyes out. Nothing has changed. But despite this and what you are physically seeing, he ends up nonetheless still drowns in the water. So Valve, let me get this straight. Even though we're playing in a zombie game, where zombies are technically dead and they shouldn't need to breathe to begin with, I'll forgive the fact that the Jockey and all the other special infected can drown. It's a gameplay mechanic. But why in the goddamn hell is the Jockey able to drown even though he's above the water level while he's on your shoulders? Does he breathe out of his feet? Now, believe it or not, we did actually manage to replicate this and figure out why this happens in the first place. Basically, long story short, if you are standing up by the time that the Jockey will mount you, you will have the exact same animation and functionality that you always will have. However, though, the one little key difference is if you are crouched before you end up getting mounted, the Jockey's animation, even though it remains the same, the Jockey's health pool will still go down because now his hitbox is at crouch level. So this is a brand new glitch within Left 4 Dead. If you're crouched and a Jockey grabs you, his hitbox will match that crouched height. Meaning, if you go to somewhere where there's deep enough water, like i.e. Death Toll, you can make the game think the Jockey is submerged and get him to drown to his death. Pretty cool, right? But now circling back to the beginning of this myth, let's go back to its main question, which is going to be, can you use the water as a tool to get the Jockey off of you? And unfortunately, you cannot. You do not have enough health to outlast the Jockey and end up having him drown before you end up getting incapacitated by him, nor do you have the ability just to submerge him underneath the water and get him to loosen his grip. So that's going to mean that myth number 2 of today's episode is going to end up being busted. However, though, I'm still glad that we found this brand new glitch, even after all these years later in Left 4 Dead. Myth: do laser sights decrease bullet spread? Alrighty guys, so myth number 3 is going to be submitted in by JJ. Now I do know that there is going to be some people in the comments that are going to reference the Left 4 Dead wiki. In the wiki, it already answers this question for us, saying that yes, they do indeed decrease bullet spread. However, though, I still wanted to include this myth in the episode anyways, just because even though this is general knowledge for most people, not everybody knows everything, and I wanted to end up putting this in the episode as a teaching tool, so that way anybody that doesn't know this already, like JJ, that they can end up learning and improving their game knowledge, rather than just assuming that they should know this. So we took all the guns in the game, and we took all the different shooting methods in the game, and we put them to the test. We ended up aiming down sights, hip firing, crouching, adding laser sights, and all these different tests that we did ended up supporting the claim that yes, indeed, laser sights do end up decreasing bullet spread, which was in the wiki. So JJ, your myth is confirmed, and I hope that these results end up helping you out, my friend. Myth: can you jump over a witch on expert mode before she stands up? Alrighty guys, so myth number 4 is going to be submitted by Zaku. Now Zaku, I think you're playing with fire here, but I'm going to end up showing you this nonetheless, so I can hope that this will, I guess, help you whatever it is that you're trying to do. Hopefully what you're trying to do is not die. Speaking of death, that's very likely to happen because even though the witch is sitting down, she stands up extremely quickly on expert mode. And in fact, I want to show you something, Zaku, before you end up trying this, is that she has her standing hitbox regardless if she's sitting down, which means that if she's at the same surface level as you, you can't jump over her. So then we thought, okay, maybe the myth is possible, but you just need to be slightly higher than the witch is, and you can't be at the same surface level. So all we did was just relocate a little bit, and what do you know? If you have the witch at least on a lower surface than you and not the same surface, you can jump over her hitbox. Now I am going to add this to the WTF version of myths for Mythbusting Mondays, because why is it that I can jump on her hitbox and basically jump on what would be the in-game version of her head, but God forbid I look at her wrong and all of a sudden she's become a zombified super Karen and she's chasing me down. Either way though, the myth is confirmed. I just wish you luck if you tried this, Zaku. Alrighty guys, so now we're moving on to the final myth of the episode, and once again it is going to be, can a hunter jump and pounce off of other special infected in order to essentially give himself a boost? So let's move on to the final myth and see if whether or not it's possible. Myth: can a hunter jump off of other special infected's heads? Okay guys, the final myth is submitted in by Lee Everett. Now guys, in Left 4 Dead, the special infected, regardless of whether or not that they are a physical player or whether or not that they are a bot, there is some sort of intangibility when it comes to the player collisions. You can initially be able to shove people and move them away just a bit, but after a certain period of time, the game will adjust for this and end up making it where you can go through each other. This is most likely to prevent corner trapping or trolling, because otherwise this would break the functionality of the game and prevent people from playing legitimately. For example, don't expect to see a Hunter Tiki statue where they're just all stacked on each other's shoulders and they're like Hunter Godzilla. That's not gonna happen. You can even see from Dan's perspective out of the corner of his eye that really all it looks like is we're just shimmying and we're really at the best able to shoulder bump each other, and that is it. This will also not work on the other special infected variants, nor will this also work on the AI versions of said special infected variants. Even something like the tank, who is humongous, you can't do this with him either. Which means that the final myth of today's episode is busted. Alright guys, so that is going to be another episode of Mythbusting Mondays, and I do truly hope you guys ended up enjoying it. If you did, please consider dropping a like, comment, subscribe, follow, and all that beautiful stuff. And as we wrap up the video here, by the way, I would like to mention once again, like how I did with the last video, that for episode 100 of Mythbusting Mondays, which is set to air on June the 5th later this summer, I'm planning on doing another epic special episode. So if any of you guys have a myth that you would like to have be featured in that specific episode, please put a comment down below, and somewhere within that comment put the hashtag Mythbusting Mondays episode 100, so I know to save it for that specific episode, but I thought I would just mention it here at the end in case you guys would like to participate. But yeah guys, once again, I hope you end up enjoying seeing another YouTube video from the most unique YouTubers you're ever going to see. Thank you for watching guys, I love all of you, and peace out.
Hey meme lords, Jesus here, and you better have enjoyed that video there by the Eternal God Daddy Ninja. You should probably subscribe too, or the mighty Moab will come for your balls. If you enjoyed the video, you might like it too. And give me the memes. Flash, bang, boom!